This video is all about getting your knees to move and feel better. Because when you search the internet, you're gonna find videos that are gonna make you feel more broken down than what you should feel, and they don't really give you solutions that actually make a large difference. So today, I wanna be a part of the solution to this problem so you can actually start doing the things that you want to do. The knee joint is responsible for flexing, extending, internally and externally rotating the leg. And the muscles that are important for these motions are the quadriceps for extending the leg, the hamstrings for flexing the leg, and then you have the popliteus and some other small muscles responsible for internal and external rotation of the leg or knee joint. Starting off, let's talk about movements that we can focus on to start strengthening the quadricep muscle and the extension portion of our knee joint. The first two that I like is the chair goblet squat and also the Patrick step. Both of these are amazing for beginners and they can be adapted according to your current capabilities. I love the chair goblet squat because not only are we using the chair to cut out the portion of our range of motion that might be uncomfortable, but also we're loading this movement from the front of the spine. Typically, when we have the weight in front of us, we can utilize this weight as a counterbalance and we feel more confident in the lower portions of our squat.
For the goblet chair squat, you're going to need two things: a surface that's going to challenge your range of motion and something to load the front of the spine. Now, I'm picking an ordinary chair and a kettlebell, but this is all going to be circumstantial around what you're able to do. Now, if you're having trouble with the squat, a higher surface is going to be better for you. You can always lower the surface as you get better over time. So once you find these two materials, you're going to sit at the edge of the surface that you have chosen, and you're going to fish your feet around until you feel like the weight of your body is equally displaced across both feet. You could do that by fishing around and basically hopping off your chair a little bit to find where it fits best. Once you find that foot placement, you're then going to grab the weight that you decided to use. This can be a backpack, this can be whatever you want, and hold it like a goblet. And from this position, all you're going to do is just stand straight up.
The other movement that I mentioned was the Patrick step. I absolutely love this movement because it's a very easy and gentle way for us to explore a single leg movement so your hip and knee have to stabilize in this isolated environment. And plus, you don't need any equipment.
Start by getting a stance that you feel comfortable with, and then pick a planted foot to go into the midline of your body. Next, what you're going to do is take the other foot and float it above the ground. Now all you have to do is focus on getting that heel to touch the floor safely and bring it back up to where you started. Keep in mind when you're doing this movement, you might feel like the planted knee is swaying inwards and outwards. Our goal is to try to keep it steady over the top of the toes. That's going to require a great amount of hip stability and knee stability.
Now let's say the two movements that I just mentioned are too hard for you. What you can do is turn these movements into an isometric exercise. By doing so, you're going to be building confidence and capacity throughout the knee joint. Real quick, if you're getting any value from this video, please take the 15 seconds to like this video and subscribe to my channel. It would mean the absolute world to me. Okay, now that we covered the quadriceps, let's move on to the hamstrings. Now, this is very important for you to pay attention to because most people tend to neglect the hamstrings, and this is the muscle that protects our ACL, which is the most common knee injury that everyone talks about. The two hamstring exercises that I absolutely love for beginners is going to be the Romanian deadlift and the hamstring glute bridge. There is a secret technique that I'm going to show you during the hamstring glute bridge that's going to teach you how to unlock a large amount of hamstring strength without any need of extra equipment. But first, let's jump into the Romanian deadlift.
For the Romanian deadlift, you don't necessarily need any weight to start with, but my suggestion is to pick something light so it helps you feel the tension in your hamstrings. You're going to start by accessing a position that's shoulder width apart, give or take, and a soft knee bend. Now during this movement, it's key that your knees do not change from the position that it's currently in. A lot of people try to squat their hinges, and that's why they never really feel the maximal tension on their glutes and hamstrings. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to locate the weight that you are going to be using, and if not, to skip to this next step. From this position, all I want you to focus on doing is kicking your butt back as far as you can. Notice that my torso is now lowering towards the ground and becoming parallel to the ground. The only reason why this is doing that is because I continue to push my butt backwards. Once I reach that point where I'm no longer able to push my butt back, I'm just going to reverse the motion by squeezing my glutes and staying upright.
Every time that you need to pick something up off the floor, you are doing some version of a Romanian deadlift or what we call a hinge pattern. So it's better that we get super strong in this range of motion so we're less likely to be injured. Now, let's go into the hamstring glute bridge and learn how we can really tax those hamstrings.
For the hamstring glute bridge, you don't need anything other than a surface. You can do this on a bed, couch, or the floor. It's completely up to you. It's going to be similar to a glute bridge with a small tweak. What we're going to do is get into that glute bridge position where you're flat on your back and feet are somewhat underneath you. Then what I want you to do is walk those feet further away from your glutes. The further your feet are away from your glutes, the more hamstring we're going to be using. Next, what I want you to do is you're going to push through those heels as high as you can. Notice that I am contracting my glutes and hamstrings, but we want to do something slightly more to get more out of these hamstrings. When you're at the top of the position, I want you to do this motion here. You're driving your heels down into the ground and towards your butt to get a really strong isometric contraction. So like so. To the top, driving my heels down and towards my butt. Now I'm getting a massive contraction in my hamstrings, getting the most bang for my buck.
Now it's time I show you that secret technique during the hamstring glute bridge that will allow you to unlock much more strength. Go ahead and find yourself a surface that allows your foot to glide. This can be wearing a sock when on top of tile or wood floor, or it can be putting a paper plate underneath your heel when on some carpet. Now, access the glute bridge that we were doing earlier, and then start to drive your heel closer to your butt. Now, we are taxing your hamstrings' ability to flex the knee joint. Now, if you haven't noticed yet, we didn't even address the bottom half of the knee joint, which I believe most people tend to neglect the most. That's why I wanted to dedicate an entire video to it. You can find it somewhere around here.